Hello, my name is Ed Fitzgerald, and I want to welcome you to Stories from the View, a podcast from the Pleasant View Senior Center in East Longmeadow, Massachusetts. On this podcast, we invite East Longmeadow residents to tell us stories about their lives. Today's guest is Shirley Shaw, a lifelong resident of East Longmeadow. Our interviewer today is Mary Genoid Kaplan. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Ed. How are you today?
Good.
Welcome. Welcome, Shirley.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me to come.
It is a pleasure to see you, and we can't wait to hear your stories and your perspectives on East Longmeadow. Shall we start at your childhood in this beautiful community?
Yes, that would be lovely. One of the main things I remember as growing up is that the town was so different, and the time was different too. You didn't have computers. You know, TV was only put on like Saturday night. You didn't have it going on all the time.
That was Saturday night?
Yeah.
Oh.
At least in my house. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we played outside. We had such a great childhood. You know, we'd have breakfast, and then Mom would push us out the door, and we came back to have lunch, go back out. We played Cowboys and Indians. We played croquet as we got older, kicked the can, basketball. I mean, we were just always on the go, and you could go anywhere. You know, you could get your bike and you could ride, and nobody was worried. You know, just, you know, a lot different once I started bringing up my kids. Okay, but we just had so much fun. The whole neighborhood, I would say there's probably 9 or 10 kids, and we still stay in touch at some point. And we, you know, do whatever, hopscotch. I mean, we had the guys doing girl stuff, the girls doing guy stuff. You know, it was just fun. Okay. School-wise, I went to Center School, which is no longer, it's up at the top of the hill, the little red.
Red schoolhouse,
Yeah,
is that it?
Yeah, but there was the bigger one next to it, and that's where I started. Continued on. They didn't have sports the same way that we do now. And that was one thing I noticed, even when and I'll go on to talk about my family. But at the time I was growing up, you did not have sports on Sunday. So it was either church, dinner, and then you went and visited with family, like aunts and uncles. No, you just got
strong family connections.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that was really part of East Longmeadow, that it just continued to be such a great community. Everyone, of course, my dad was very loving. He had jokes all the time. He couldn't stop talking. So everyone kind of knew him. And Mom was a church secretary for over 25 years at the Congregational Church at the center.
So she knew a lot of people.
Yeah, she did.
So what part of town did you live in?
We lived off of Route 83, Lee Street, right near Countryside, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we lived there. That street was like the cut through from
Yes.
KB Road
Mm-hmm.
to, I can't think, what's the other street? I can't think of it, but anyway, yep.
Peas.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
yes.
You know it better than I do.
I'm learning.
Okay. Okay. One of the things, mostly in the summertime, all the dads had big gardens and all that bit, but the moms were smart because all the kids wanted to go to the swimming hole. So they would say, well, I'll take you to the swimming hole, but you have to go out and pick the green beans and the tomatoes and get all the vegetables in for supper time. So they got a lot of work out of us too. But it was fun because then we all went to, you know, there was like 4 cars that went down to the swimming hole. You didn't have
shared in the chores.
Yeah.
So you had a backyard garden?
Oh, yeah.
Is that what
Very
okay.
back.
Mhm.
Huge. We had woods. We have, my son lives there now. But there's quarries, you know, brownstone quarries that we're well known for. They were using those way before me. Okay. But so we would take walks, and Bruce Moore takes people walking through that area. So he would know it's right behind.
So that was a swimming hole?
No, we went to
Swimming
a
hole was
different hole.
different.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Jumping around a little bit.
It's okay.
Okay. Some changes that I've noticed over the many, many years. When I was younger, B&B Market was on Elm Street. You probably don't even okay. It was a very well-known small market that was run by East Long Meadow Works. And they had a farm and they had produce and it grew and grew. But when it first started, it was just like a little shack. And then they moved to where, I can't think of the name of the North Main Street. There's a restaurant and then the floor place.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So they moved there along with East Long Meadow Pharmacy. And B&B Market was the first market that I know of that did home deliveries. Now we have Stop and Shop. We have,
the first, I won't use their brand names, but how cool.
Yeah.
And so you could call up and they would deliver your groceries because maybe families didn't have 2 cars.
Right. Exactly. It was, most of us had 1 car until Mom started working. I think we finally, maybe after the 3rd or 4th year, got a 2nd car. Okay. Other things in the center of town, of course, the Rotary. Everyone knows East Long Meadow for the Rotary.
Was it still these 7 roads?
No, it was just a circle at one point. Then they decided to put little islands around. I have one memory of the Rotary. This was when I was a teenager and I was waiting for my good friend from outside of Boston to come and visit. She had just gotten her driver's license, and she was coming up for spring vacation. And of course, it was before cell phones. So you couldn't call and say, and she got into the Rotary and she didn't know how to get out. And so she went around and around. This was Lee. I'm sure you remember Lee. You said, okay. And finally, someone took pity on her and kind of slowed up so that she could get out where she was supposed to go.
Sounds like a horror movie. Alfred Hitchcock would love it.
Yes, yeah. Buckley's Pharmacy was at the center. That's now a hairdresser place. They had a soda bar.
Oh, the soda fountain.
Yeah. But the lady that ran it, you only could stay there for so long. She wouldn't let mostly when we were in high school.
Oh,
we couldn't just sit there.
The teenagers couldn't linger.
Right. And I remember that.
So what were your soda choices? Did you have a favorite
root beer
beverage?
Float.
Root beer floats.
Yummy.
And would you like to share the recipe with our viewers? Some youngins might not know.
Oh, okay.
The beauty of the root beer float.
Okay, you put 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream. And then you pour root beer in, and you have to have a straw, okay, and a spoon.
Required.
Yes. So you drink some of the root beer, and then you take the ice cream and you eat it. And I still like them.
I have goosebumps. It's so wonderful. Good memories.
Yeah.
So what was school like for you? I mean,
I was very quiet, shy. Don't you say anything. It was good. I did have trouble in school, and I always wanted to be a nurse, okay? But my mother said, just in case you don't make it, maybe you should take typing so you could be a secretary. So I took typing 1 and typing 2, and I did advanced science, and I did get through, and I did go to nursing school, but I used that typing to make money because the interns needed someone to type their papers. Good. Yeah. So it came,
very entrepreneurial of you.
Yes.
Now, was the high school here in East Long Meadow?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It was probably about 10 years old, I think, when we started there. Okay. My husband was one of the first classes that graduated from East Long Meadow High. Okay.
The high school that's there now. It's
the
same high.
That they're talking about redoing.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's been a long time. My kids went there also. Okay. And it was getting a little. So going back a little bit. So high school was good. Graduated. Then went on to nursing school. And that's when I met my husband, who also is from East Longmeadow. He grew up in East Longmeadow. His mother was the head of the cafeteria at the high school. We met later on, but we decided that we would live in East Longmeadow. There was many opportunities for him to move on. For 2 years, he worked in Boston and traveled back and forth like just twice a week. And I had 2 kids, a son and a daughter, John and Karen. And they grew up having a lot of the same things that I did, a really nice neighborhood with kids that we'd push them out the door. That was just when computers were coming in play with video games and all that, but it wasn't anything like it is now. I went on to work as a nurse. I did nursing homes. Then I decided I was working 3 to 11 because that would work the best. And my kids were coming home from school when I was going to work, and I didn't really care for that. So then I got into home care, which I really loved. And I really met. I worked in the greater Springfield area, so I was lucky enough to take care of some East Longmeadowers. And it was, really nice to have that contact. And that's when I did blood pressures here.
So you took blood pressures here at the Pleasant View Senior Center.
Yes, I did. Other things that I remember, and I'm going back and forth, I'm sorry.
No, that's
okay.
fine.
Okay, is the East Longmeadow 4th of July Carnival. Okay, right now you think of it as a really big thing for East Longmeadow. Well, when it started, and I don't know what year it was, but it was the JCs that started it. And the first 2 years, it was down Shaker Road in a field, not a whole lot of traffic coming to it. I remember my husband and like 2 other JCs, they would just stand around waiting for someone to come in. But then finally the town thought it would be nice if it moved to the center. And that's when it really, just blossomed and was we used to do corn on the cob. The JCs used to do that. Corn on the cob. Then someone else did fried dough.
Summer memories.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah. Going onward, I don't know where to go. Help me.
Okay, so you've got young children. You're doing home care. The kids are getting older now.
Right.
And you're working in home care. They're growing up. And what happens then? Did they go on to college? Have they stayed locally? Have you veered from home care?
Yes, I have, and I'll tell you that later. But as far as the kids, both of them went through high school. Son went on to working on cars. My daughter was the class president of senior year at East Longmeadow High. And so she had to give a speech at graduation. And one of the things she said is that I love East Longmeadow, but I'll never be back. And the reason why she said that is because with myself growing up in East Longmeadow, my husband, our brother-in-law, and my sister, who was used to be a teacher in East Longmeadow, everyone knew the kids. They couldn't get away with anything. And so she said, she would never come back. And I thought, well, she came back, married an East Longmeadow person, and now has 3 kids of her own.
Now, I'm going to digress.
Okay.
Do I recall that you said when you went off to college that maybe you might not have come back?
Yeah.
So life is a circle again.
Yes. I was hoping to go into the Navy after I got my RN. But instead I met my husband.
Oh.
And the rest is history, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So where did your career take you then?
Okay, well, after home care, I did a few different home cares. I then went down to Glastonbury, Connecticut, and ran a home care for 18 years for a family.
Oh my, that's a big responsibility.
Yeah, I had over 100 employees. We covered New Haven and then the Glastonbury area. I really enjoyed it. You go into people's homes and you see their history. Okay. Even if it's like a bowl or a mug or something like that, they always have stories like you say about
Sure.
this. So I really enjoyed home care because you got to know them a little bit more than if you were working in a nursing home or a hospital because their history was right there. Okay. So I did that. And then the family that owned the business, their children got older and wanted to take over. So I left there 5 years ago and took a totally different way of working. I went to an assisted living up in Northampton and worked there for 4 years. If you can tell, I've worked every place but East Line Meadow. And then they built the new skilled nursing home in East Line Meadow. Okay. And then they started building the memory care assisted living. And my husband found the job for me. So now, even if I work late, he can't complain because he's the one that found
this,
it.
right?
Yes. But I really enjoy it. And here
your
again,
commute is shorter.
yes, I can be there in less than 8 minutes. Not that I
Plan to, but okay.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is that East Line Meadow has changed a little bit, but you still have the same values. A lot of people that grew up in East Line Meadow are still in East Line Meadow. So I think that says something.
So, anything in particular that you do in your spare time when you're not working or
Okay.
tending to the house or?
Yeah, the house does take a lot of time. We go camping.
Okay.
Okay, we've been camping almost probably the year after we got married, and we've been married for 50 years. We started camping, and we still go camping. Now it's just the two of us. Before, it would be with the kids. We went camping across country, just the two of us. Best vacation
Wow.
ever.
Wow.
So
Now, do you have an RV? Do
we
you
had
have
a van.
tent?
No, well, now we have a tent, but at that time we had a van that my husband redid. So we had a bed, we had a sink, we had everything we could. And we just had so much fun on that trip.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Something I always thought I would do.
Okay.
Haven't quite got there yet.
Okay. But then, I don't know why we thought this, but when our two children were teenagers, we thought, why don't we do it again? The worst.
So we've had the best vacation
Vacation.
ever, and
And,
now perhaps not.
Right. Though at the time, they really didn't appreciate it. But now you'll hear the two of them talk. And like if something's taking a long time, they'll say, just like when we were trying to go through Kansas, because that was ours. It seemed like it was a big state.
So it made an impression and memories, even though maybe they weren't as verbal about their appreciation at
Exactly.
the time.
Exactly.
And you were in a van with them.
Yes.
And they both lived.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah. Of course, here again, we didn't have cell phones then. So we had to stop to find pay phones because our son had a girlfriend and he had to stay in touch. Okay. And then our daughter, she would talk to anyone from day one. She was just chit chat. And so she always had to touch base with someone. So that was.
What's your favorite place to camp? Can you pick?
Oh,
It sounds like you've been everywhere.
no, we haven't been everywhere. I wish we had. I wish we still would. I would say one of the national parks. I can't pick Bryce. Bryce was unbelievable. Zion was so big with the rocks and everything. That one was hard to take in. So I would say my favorite is Bryce.
So you're very outdoorsy, nature lover. Yeah.
Yeah. We, at one point when we were camping in the tent, we would have indoor carpet that we put inside the tent.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had an air mattress, a double high air mattress. We had an electric blanket. So I would say I rough it.
Shirley, trust me, my idea is a Holiday Inn with an unheated pool. So
okay.
you were roughing it, my friend.
Okay. Yeah.
So do you have some camping plans this year?
We do go camping.
Okay. Local?
Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It's easy to get to,
Sure.
just for the weekend kind of thing. So
Yeah.
Well, you do have this job your husband secured for you.
Yes,
So
you're right.
you need to stay close.
Yes, yes.
Anything else you'd like to share with us? I've heard about the changes in East Long Meadow, but I've also heard you say that we're still retaining a lot of our core values.
Mhm.
And I've lived several different places in my life, and I've never lived anywhere where so many people say, verbalize, unprompted, I love East Long Meadow. And I think that's very telling.
It is.
Absolutely
It is.
very telling.
Yes.
So
I find that the same thing. The short number of years I've been here. I mean, I love it. I mean, it's been a great experience living here.
Good. That's great.
still a lot of good things happening. Any predictions for the future or words of wisdom that you would like to share with the community? Even you've seen many changes in nursing and healthcare, but we're heading in the right direction. What do you think?
I think the main thing is that we need to have compassion for each other. Okay. So that just because we're not all alike, we still can get along. And you can disagree and not get angry.
Wise words, Shirley. Thank you so much for coming and telling your story today. I have so enjoyed it.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed it too. Didn't think I would, but.
Excellent.
That wraps up another episode of Stories from the View. We'd like to thank our guest, Shirley Shaw. The Stories from the View podcast is available on the LCAT 01028 channel on YouTube. If you have a story you would like to share on the program, contact Pleasant View Senior Center Director Erin Kobler by stopping by the Pleasant View Senior Center, by calling Erin at 413-525-5436, extension 1401, or send her an email at erin.kobler@eastlongmeadowma.gov. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time at Stories from the View.